The head of the International Labour Organization says we must recognise what we're dealing with or we risk making things worse. The ILO's latest Global Employment Trends report says 2012 will represent an urgent jobs challenge. The prospect getting worse after 3 years of crisis. I asked Juan Somavia whether growth and austerity are contradictory ideas.
You don't need to do austerity now, right away, immediately. You can give yourself a space. The whole history of the world sort of tells us that when you have a high debt, you give yourself a longer maturity time to be able to do what? To recover growth. You didn't do that.
Don't you end up with Greece, Italy, Spain and the bond market attacking if you give yourself too much space?
Look, the bond markets and the financial operators and the rating agencies didn't have a clue about what was going on in 2008. To think that they have the correct approach, that they have the good solution, is a mistake.
So what do you want by way of growth-oriented policies? Tell me in concrete terms.
Very concrete terms. Give longer maturity, concentrate on investment in the small and medium enterprises who create jobs. You have 2 trillion cash surplus in large companies of Europe and the United States. Public-private agreements in order to get the private sector going, because you can't do fiscal stimulus. You have to ensure that the private sector invests. All of these things are perfectly possible. If you don't have the financial markets telling you by Monday next you have to have a solution, which is what we're doing.
But if you have got the financial markets telling you that, isn't it very hard to go against them? I mean, if you've got the dogs barking at your feet and you want to carry on walking up the postman's path.
The problem is that trying to solve the debt, the financial debt, you are raising the social debt. The confidence of people, in the end, is more important than the confidence of the financial markets. And that's a reality.
Which countries are you most worried at now when we talk about a deterioration of the social fabric of society?
Obviously, the European countries that are in problem. But, you know, the emerging countries came out of the crisis much quicker than the developed ones because they cared for social protection policies, increased minimum wages, did things that were not done here. But now the impact is getting over there. So you now have a double whammy. The problem here and the impact on the emerging countries. The IMF has told us that growth this year is going to be 3.3. Come on. With that, there's no way you can solve the fiscal crisis. How can you address the debt problem if you continually grow less and less? It doesn't work. It's not good economics.
So you're concerned that eventually this does spill into something more serious, basically, than just a financial crisis. It spills into a jobless totality of social unrest and a disruption.
It has already. We're already there. We have a 600 million jobs challenge. We have 200 million unemployed, which are going to increase with the latest IMF calculations, and you have 400 million young people coming into the labor market. And you're going to deal with that by constraining growth, because we only have to worry about the fiscal issue. It doesn't work from an economic point of view. You need the consumption that people have.
In dealing with this crisis, are we ahead of the curve or behind? If we pay up first.
There we are.
Are we ahead of the curve or behind the curve?
Let me put it there. I believe that we're behind the curve because there was a crisis before the crisis. Not only the things that I've been saying, but also the fact that inequality has grown for the last 30 years in an enormous amount.
Behind the curve from Juan Somavia, maybe we're not surprised with that response. Philip Jennings is